Issue 350 is the series finale of the pre-crisis Barry Allen Flash. It's also the conclusion of a 28-part storyline, and I've just realized that it's going to be impossible for me to do an accurate and concise review of this one issue without first giving an overview of the previous 27 issues. After all, Stan Lee once said, it's always someone's first time. He was referring to comic books, however. So, for that reason, I will once again do for the final time, previously on the Trial of the Flash. The Reverse Flash kills Iris at a costume party. Barry battles the Reverse Flash and leaves him stranded in limbo for 4 years. During the next 4 years, Barry moves on, meets a woman named Fiona Webb, gets engaged to her, and on their wedding day, the Reverse Flash breaks out of limbo and attempts to kill Fiona, but in order to stop him, Barry accidentally kills the Reverse Flash. Barry is charged with murder and put on trial. As this is happening, Barry faces off against every prominent villain he's ever had, or that the Riot could think up of. Also, it seems that someone behind the scenes is trying to take apart the Flash's life. While the jury is deliberating, the Flash's foes start disappearing. With the jury deadlocked, one of the jurors, who turns out to be a time traveler, decides to take the jury on a trip through time.
Let this be a normal field trip.
And he shows them the events that happened in issues 323 and 324. And just when they were about to give a not guilty verdict, the Reverse Flash pops up and mentally forces the jury to give a guilty verdict. What? Meanwhile, in jail, Barry is visited by the same sharp-edged, mustachioed time traveler, a Nathan Newberry, who transports him to the future for reasons. Also, it seems the Reverse Flash kidnapped the Rogues and wants to kill them slowly. Which brings us to issue 350 is a double issue, and we see the Rogues escape and plot their revenge against the Reverse Flash. We see random asides of different people, the police, Barry's parents, his lawyer, and so on, which don't amount much to anything. In the future, Barry finds out that the Reverse Flash that's running around now isn't the one he killed. So if Barry killed the original, then who is this imposter?
Abracapocus. Hocus Cadabra. Walla Walla, Washington.
No, it's Abracadabra. Why is Abracadabra doing this? Well, Abra made a bet with the High Commissioner of the 64th century. See, there's been a temporal turbulence. And because of this, history can be changed, but when the temporal clock strikes 12, the time stream becomes fixed again. So by changing time when it shouldn't be possible, he would have pulled off his ultimate trick, thereby also killing off the Flash, reinstating magic as a noble art form, and he, Abracadabra, will be loved and adored forever.
My brain hurts!
Okay, let's try again. Abra made a bet with the High Commissioner that by altering the Flash's fate, which was locked, think Doctor Who's fixed points, he would have achieved the impossible. Magic would be reinstated, the Flash would be dead, and he would have pulled off his ultimate trick. Well, while Abra is monologuing about that, Barry and Nathan are caught in one of Abra's traps. Luckily, the Rogues arrive in the 64th century. They use the cosmic treadmill to get there. Abra is defeated somehow, and Barry is acquitted of all charges with the explanation of that one of the jurors was possessed by a spirit from the 30th century, and the other jurors were brainwashed into delivering a guilty verdict. Comic books! Man, pre-crisis DC Universe was interesting. Well, after Barry visits his parents for the last time, he travels to the 30th century to meet the person who inhabited Nathan Newberry. And that person is Iris West Allen.
What?
Okay, before we go any further, a little flash fact. Pre-crisis Iris was a time traveler. She was born in the 30th century and sent back in time as a baby by her parents. She was later adopted. Now that that's cleared up, let's get back to the story. See, what had happened was Iris's parents from the future sucked up her soul when she died and transported it to the future and then inserted it into a recently deceased woman's body. Or as they called it, they performed a psychic transplant. Iris then had her psychic essence sent to the past to possess the body of Nathan Newberry. The series ends with Barry, who recently had facial plastic surgery done by super intelligent gorillas, meeting Iris again. They kiss and they lived happily ever after. Well, until Barry goes through time to prevent the Antimatter from blowing up all of the DC multiverse with a time cannon, sacrificing his life and having his reality rebooted. Well, mostly. Man, was this convoluted and all over the place. Keep in mind, this was only one issue. The art was fine, it's no better or worse than previous issues. The real problem was with the writing. The story ends with a happy ending, but getting there was confusing. The supporting characters were pushed aside, and the ones that are focused on aren't likable or interesting, even if the situations they're in are. Another issue is the villains. They seem to all speak in the same voice. You could describe every villain the same way. Based on this and previous issues, the writer Cary Bates seems to assume that he provided enough clues to figure out who the true villain is or who Nathan Newberry's true identity was. Except both revelations seem to come out of nowhere. That being said, I do recommend this issue, but barely. I'll give this issue the slice of recommends because while it has problems, there are really crazy out there ideas and the execution does keep you invested. But I mean, really, that ending felt like a Deus Ex Machina. Well, that's all fine and good, but how was the entire storyline? After all, this is the conclusion of a 28 issue long story. Well, next time I will do a review and overview of the entire The Trial of the Flash saga. I'll discuss the pros and cons, the behind the scenes drama, and what went on and what really influenced the story. Finally, I'll go into where this story was any good or even recommendable. And until next time, goodbye.